My name is Tara Roberson, and I'm a community nutrition instructor in Midland County. Today, we're going to be making black bean and vegetable quesadillas, courtesy of Cooking Matters by Share a Strength. To learn more, visit cookingmatters.org. As you can see, I have all of my equipment out and ready to go, and I've washed my hands and I've washed my produce. Now that everything's set, we can get started. The first step in our recipe is to drain and rinse a can of black beans. Always remember to rinse the lid of canned produce before you open it. Once you've rinsed your black beans off, pour it into a bowl and set it aside. The next step in our recipe will be to prepare the zucchini. For this, you can choose to either grate your zucchini or slice it. For this recipe, I'm going to slice. To slice my zucchini, I'm going to hold the zucchini with my left hand or my non-knife holding hand. Keep that hand close to the area where you're going to cut, with the tips firmly planted on the zucchini and your knuckles pointed out. This is what we call the claw grip. Now with my right hand, I'm going to firmly hold my knife with the tip pointed down on the cutting board and then move that knife forward in a smooth and controlled motion, making this back end come down while sliding the tip of the blade forward. Try not to remove the blade from the cutting board while you cut. This is how you slice the zucchini. And don't just push down on the zucchini, because when you do that, you have less control over where the blade will go. So again, keep the tip pointed down, move it forward while bringing the back end down. Now that I've finished cutting up my zucchini, I'm going to put it into a bowl and set it aside for later. Next, we're going to prepare our spinach and cilantro. For this, we're going to use a technique called chiffonade, which is used to cut leafy vegetables and herbs into slender ribbons. First, we're going to cut off the stems of our spinach and then set those aside. Now that I've removed the stems from all of my spinach, I'm going to stack a handful of the leaves on top of each other. Then I'm going to roll the stack up tightly, and I'm going to hold it in place on the board using my claw grip. Then I'm going to take my knife, and just like with the zucchini, I'm going to make small slices, and we want the slices to be fairly thin for this. I'm going to take the knife and move it across that roll. Remember to move your fingers back as the knife gets closer to your knuckles. And as you can see here, we've managed to slice these into small little ribbons. Now we're going to repeat that until we have about 2 cups worth of spinach, and then we'll repeat the process with our cilantro. Now we're going to prepare our cilantro just like we prepared the spinach. So first, make sure you remove all stems. If you prefer to pick the leaves off, you can do that, or you can use your knife. Personally, I find it a little bit easier with so many small leaves to just pick them off with my hands. Now, just like with the spinach, I'm going to take a small bundle of this and try to roll it up as best as I can. And then I'm going to do the same thing as before. Again, holding my bundle of cilantro with a claw grip in my non-knife holding hand. And then I'm going to take the knife and slowly slice small, thin ribbons with the cilantro. Always, again, be careful as you get closer to your fingers. And now that I'm done, I'm going to pick my bundle up and set it in a bowl and set it aside for later. Now, if you're using canned corn gallium, we're going to repeat the same process we did earlier with our black beans by rinsing off the can and then rinsing the corn in a colander under cold water. Now, just like with the black beans, we're going to pour the corn into a separate bowl and set it aside. Next, I'm going to grate the cheese. For this, I'm going to use a metal cheese grater, and I'm going to use the side with the largest shredding holes. Now, using this side, I'm going to move the cheese in an up and down motion, being very careful that when I get towards the end, I won't accidentally nick my fingers. So as you can see, we're moving the cheese in an up and down motion, and I'm not lifting the cheese off every single time. It's a lot easier to just slide it back and forth. And as you can see, we're starting to get some cheese. Remember to move your fingers back as you get closer. Now that our cheese is done, just like before, I'm going to put it in a dish and set it to the side. For our first step, we're going to pour 1 tablespoon of canola oil into our pan, and we're going to set it for a medium-high heat. Now that I can feel the pan is hot enough, I'm going to add my zucchini and just a small dash of my cayenne pepper. I'm going to mix it all together, and then I'm going to let it cook until the zucchini is semi-soft, which should take about 5 minutes. And I'm going to put a lid onto it to help it cook just a little more thoroughly. Alright, it's been about 5 minutes and the zucchini is semi-soft, so now we're going to add our corn and our spinach. We're going to take this lid off, set it aside, add in our corn, and our spinach. Then we're going to mix everything together very carefully. Going to put our lid back on and let it cook again for about another 5 minutes until all of the food is tender. Remember to stir the food every couple of minutes to make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. Now that our food is cooked and tender, we're going to turn off the stovetop and remove the pan from the heat. Alright, next we're going to add about half of our black beans to the mix. Mash the black beans lightly and add 1 to 2 teaspoons of water, just a little bit at a time. Mix everything until it becomes a somewhat paste-like texture, and then set your fork aside. Next, we're going to mix in our black pepper and cilantro. So I'll add a little bit of black pepper, mix in our cilantro, and stir everything together. Once we've combined our ingredients, we're going to transfer the contents of this into a bowl. Be careful not to spill everything onto the table. I've already done that a few times myself. So we're going to use a fork or a spatula to help guide everything slowly into the bowl. And we are not done with the pan yet, so you'll want to make sure you set it back next to your stovetop or on your stovetop. You can wipe it out with a paper towel if you'd like. Just make sure that you don't put it in the dishwasher or don't put it away just yet. Now we're going to prepare our quesadillas. This means that we're just about done, which is good because I'm getting pretty hungry. So to get our quesadillas ready, first you want to take your whole wheat tortilla and lay it flat either on a cutting board or on your plate. Next, we're going to scoop some of our vegetable mixture onto our quesadilla. And you just want to put it on 1/2 side, leaving the other side empty. Next, we're going to take some cheese and we're going to sprinkle it over that side with the vegetable mix. From there, we're going to take the other side, which does not have any vegetable mix in it, and we're going to bring it up and over top of the half that has the mix. And we're going to push down just a little bit to help kind of hold everything in place. Once your pan is warm enough, take your quesadilla and gently lay it in the pan. You want to make sure that the rounded edge of your quesadilla is close to, but not completely up against, the rounded side of your pan. And make sure that the middle folded section is along the middle of the pan. This is important for when we flip it later. Be sure to keep an eye on your quesadilla. We want the bottom half to be a nice light golden brown color before we flip it. We don't want it to sit on so long that it burns, but we also don't want it to sit on so shortly that it doesn't get crispy. Now it's time to flip the quesadilla. It's a nice light golden brown color underneath, so we're ready to flip. Always make sure you flip from the open side of your quesadilla and never from the folded side. The reason for this is if you flip it from the folded side, what happens is a lot of the times all of your contents spill out. So we always want to make sure we flip it from the golden side by slowly and carefully putting the spatula underneath the open side of the tortilla. Once your quesadilla is completely cooked on the other side, gently remove it from the pan and place it on your plate. Be sure to turn the stovetop off if you're all done and if you're not making more. Once you've removed your black bean and vegetable quesadillas from the pan, you can cut them in half and they're ready to serve. As a reminder, you can find this recipe and many other great ones at cookingmatters.org. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed this video.